Hey guys, welcome to today's Wednesday Walkabout. If you're wanting to know if I am very eager to get my door replaced, I am very eager to get my door replaced. So today, this is going to be a quick and dirty Wednesday Walkabout. I want to share just a few things with you that I have noticed, that I've observed, but I think will do things to kind of promote our safety in the garden, limit our water use, and just make us feel as if our gardens look well tended, if not beautiful, because today it's 102, Stuart. So what do you say? Let's do it. Okay, one of the things you know that I have loved and loved is one of the hoverers in my garden, the Verbena bonariensis, and I had it in big clumps running up and down the walkway to my front porch, and I had two big overflowing clumps right here. And for a while I thought, well, I'm not going to cut those back because of the pollinators, because the pollinators were visiting them. But then they got to be so treacherous, they were making such a mess, and they were just nothing but brown seed heads, that I decided to go ahead and cut them back. And I am glad I did, because look how much cleaner this whole area looks without their presence. When they were beautiful, fresh, and purple, I think they looked great, but after a while they were just beginning to look oppressive and a little bit, well, a little bit deadly as you walked up these stairs, because they got kind of pokey. So I cut them way back so that they will bloom in time for the pollinators, the monarchs that will come later in the season. But here is my tip. Be careful whenever you are cutting something back like that, that has very rigid stems like these. And you can see here, it's already starting to put out some new growth. But these have very rigid stems. Those over there and this one over here. And Stuart, people like you and me that are prone to tripping all the time, you want to be very careful you don't trip on those, because they will not give. They're very, very rigid, and they won't give, and you'll trip right over them. So be careful of that. If you cut back anything of that nature in your garden, you want to make sure that it's not a tripping danger. What I decided to keep, I don't know if I shared this in the last video or not, was all of the zinnias, and I'm glad I did. The pollinators love them. They still look fresh, especially from a distance, and so I think that's just fine. What I have started to do, however, the lower leaves that have powdery mildew, I am starting to remove those. That makes this whole area less congested, makes it look a little bit more tended, and it also reduces the likelihood that powdery mildew will spread. I don't want to go to the trouble of spraying them with anything. They're just going to have to kind of tough it out and be on their own. Okay, lastly, or not lastly, let's say thirdly, one thing that I've been doing with my white wedding hydrangeas. This is something that will eventually remedy itself over time as the redbud trees get a little bit larger, because if you look back in here, you can see that these are still green and pretty fresh looking, even though they're in a semi-dried state. Look at how huge these flower heads are. They're huge. They're absolutely gorgeous, and I've already cut several bouquets to bring inside and dry. So these still look beautiful. These over here that are further south, not so much, because they are turning brown in this really intense heat that they're getting from the south sun. But over time, and this was my intention when I planted the redbud trees, over time, these are going to get large enough so that this section right here will benefit from the same kind of high dappled shade that these do. Well, thank you to Quince for sponsoring today's video and for providing me with a wonderful new coffee pot. So what I love about Quince, you know, they work with top tier ethical factories and things of that nature, but increasingly for me, it's really been just kind of a go-to resource for things that I need, not only in my wardrobe, but also in the home. But when I decided that I wanted a new coffee maker, because I was beginning to worry a little bit about the microplastics that were in my other coffee maker, the individual cup coffee maker, I decided that I wanted a coffee pot, but I wanted something a little bit more sleek sleek, a little bit more elegant. And what did I go to? I went to Quince, and I got this fellow Aiden coffee maker, and it is so cool, you guys. Stuart, you love it because it's just so streamlined, isn't it?
It's modern.
And I love this kind of champagne color. It comes in white and in black. This is the champagne color. And I just hit guided brew. I can pick my own profile, which is dark roast. And I just know that for me, it's going to be about 2 tablespoons of coffee. So, I mean, this coffee maker, it takes into account just all sorts of deliciousness things. It brews it at the right temperature, but you can set all sorts of different individual settings. But for me, I love it, and it just tells me just exactly what I need to do. It's very intuitive. It's easy to work with. And again, it gives that feeling of just elegance and style, and yet it was not prohibitively expensive compared to so many of the other really fancy coffee makers on the market. It comes with 2 different kinds of baskets, so you can do a singular dose or singular cup like I'm doing, or you can do a whole pot. But it's absolutely wonderful. So thank you, Quince, for sponsoring this video. And if you want to elevate your essentials with Quince, just go to the link right here for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. So for right now, I am just having to tough it out and really deeply watering these at the base of the plants themselves, because right now I just don't want them to die. I have accepted that they are not going to look their best. Now I just don't want them to die. One thing that I am really encouraging right now, and that is my Bermuda grass. Bermuda grass is kind of controversial because it sends out those runners, and it can go crazy, especially this time of year when it shows up as a weed in your flower beds, especially those where the grass abuts the borders of your flower beds, because it does send out those runners. Now, this past year in the spring, I had a terrible problem with Poa annua, which is that kind of ryegrass that goes to seed. It was everywhere, and we had to take care of that in late spring. And then I had a pretty bad infestation of fire ants that Kayla took care of. And consequently, it left lots of dead spots like this. Now, my long-term plan is still in the fall to plant a couple of boxwood balls right here, but my priority right now is just to get these runners to fill in these dead and bare spots. And Stuart, if you'll come over here, it's being pretty successful. So this spot is about to fill in. This spot is about to fill in. And by the end of the summer, if I give even just a little bit of water, I'm not fertilizing, but if I give it just a little bit of water in this area that is typically not irrigated at all, then those runners will spread, and I will have a nice solid expanse of Bermuda like I have here on the berms. Once it fills in, the brown spots are filled in. I don't really care if it goes dormant. You can kind of see, well, like across the street, you can see how theirs is going dormant. It's turning brown as Bermuda does when it's very, very hot and very, very dry. I don't care if this section goes brown, but I do want it to be a filled in brown that looks like it's a solid surface instead of one that is punctuated by lots of holes. And this is the time of year to encourage those runners. So whenever I can, I'm not overwatering it, but I am giving it a little bit more water than I would typically, at least in these areas where I'm trying to get those runners encouraged. And then once it fills in, I'll back off on the watering until the natural rains come. Other than that, I am just waiting, like you, not necessarily for fall. We don't want to wish our lives away, but I checked till the end of the month, and we've already exceeded our average number of days over 100 here in Oklahoma City. Stuart, you may not have known that. And the coolest it gets for the next 30 days is a cold front of like 95. But the last day of the month shows that it's going to be 95. So these hot temperatures might persist into perpetuity into September. We just don't know. So right now I'm just trying to keep it looking good even if it doesn't look green and lush. Though I would say that given the extremes, it doesn't look too bad. It doesn't look too bad. So there you go. That's a very quick Wednesday walkabout. Make sure to tune in when we have our Linda Vater Live on August 16th at 2 p.m. If you haven't already signed up for my holiday boutique experience, we still have some slots left. So Stuart, if you would put a link right there, that would be great. And as always, hit the subscribe button, give us a follow, and most importantly, share this video with others who might also be struggling in the garden and who are despairing of their gardens right now in this heat. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. See you soon.